All right, so let's go ahead and preview the football weekend. And yeah, wearing a Boston Red Sox jersey and Boba Fett hat because why not? So let's go through these games and we'll see what you guys think about who's going to win. The first game we're going to look at is a Saturday game, 8:15 Eastern, which is 5:15 Pacific, and it's Buffalo and Baltimore. That should be a really good game. And of all the score lines, it's the one that's closest. Buffalo's favored by 3. And I understand why people would be hedging towards Baltimore because Baltimore traditionally in the playoffs just has this thing that they do where they suddenly start winning. And I expect it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it necessarily happens this weekend. That being said, between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I think Josh Allen's had the better year. I think he's proven he's the better quarterback this season. Overall, I think Jackson's the better quarterback. But this season, Allen has just been absolutely on fire. We'll see next year whether or not it's one of those things that he can replicate. But Jackson's been pretty solid for a while, and so we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I want the Bills to win, but it's going to be close, and we'll see whether or not the Ravens can pull off what would be seen as an upset by some this weekend. I don't know that I would see it as a huge upset because, again, with the Bills, they haven't had the prolonged success as an organization that Baltimore's had. It just feels like Baltimore's always in the mix. So we'll see. 3:05 Eastern on Sunday, the other AFC game's going to go, which is Cleveland against Kansas City. And to the surprise of no one, Kansas City has the largest point spread that I've found at 9 points. Some are listing them as 10-point favorites. I see them as 9 points on other sites, so I went with 9. But I understand why this game is seen as being lopsided. And why people are still, even at 9 points, people are still probably going to take Kansas City against the spread. Because it's Mahomes, they're at home, and they're against Cleveland. And Cleveland coming off of that big win over Pittsburgh. As impressive as that win over Pittsburgh was, remember, they were ahead 28-0. And there were points during that game where it looked like they were going to have a Cleveland moment and lose it. So if they play that way against Kansas City, if they don't up their game against KC from where they were last week against Pittsburgh, they will lose. They'll lose to KC. Kansas City is a much better team than the Steelers, and I can say that now because the Steelers are gone. So for any Steelers fans, and again, I've watched as the meltdown on Twitter's been just glorious to watch. Because watching a whole fan base melt down after what had been an 11-0 start, it feels like it's an overreaction both ways. That there was an overreaction to the winning streak, and now there's an overreaction to losing. And the reality is the team's probably still a very good playoff team, but how many more years does Roethlisberger have left? And what are you going to do to fix Pittsburgh? Meanwhile, Cleveland has won a playoff game. Buffalo's won a playoff game. This is a bizarre year, right? Who bet on Cleveland and Buffalo still being together? And honestly, I would love to see Cleveland pull off a huge upset, Buffalo win their game, and have that be the AFC final. That's the one I'd like to see, which is why I'm thinking it's probably going to be Kansas City and Baltimore. That's just how that works. So we'll see, but Mayfield's in it now. He's up against Mahomes, who is arguably the best quarterback in football. I say arguably just by saying it, people will mention other quarterbacks. Now we go to the NFC, and it's 6:45 Eastern on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in against New Orleans. New Orleans, they're 5-point favorites. I've also seen them listed as 3-point favorites. I'm leaning towards the Bucs. I am. It's Brady versus Breeze, 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I find myself leaning towards the Buccaneers. I may look foolish after, but New Orleans, yep, they're the number 2 seeds, and they look good against Chicago. That's Chicago. Tampa Bay's not Chicago. I have a feeling that Brady continues his playoff magic, and I'm kind of thinking Brady wins it. Now, I'm a huge Drew Brees fan. I would love to see New Orleans win that game. I just get the feeling that it's going to be a Tampa game. That'll be a fun game, though. I do like both teams. So that's one of those ones I can just sit and watch and just enjoy. In fact, of the teams that remain, there isn't really anybody left that I could say I really can't stand. That's just reserved for Cowboys mostly. So, yeah. I think that's going to be a really fun game. That could end up being a really high-scoring game as well between the the Buccaneers and the Saints. And the last game, the surprising Rams. So they had to kind of barely squeak into the playoffs. They went from a team that looked like they'll cruise, they might be a division champion, to, okay, now they're not going to win the division, to, okay, are they going to make the playoffs? And then they did. And then they knocked off the Seattle Seahawks last week. Now they're in against Green Bay. They're 7-point down against Green Bay. Green Bay being the favorites, obviously. Green Bay coming off of having a bye. This is at 4:30 Eastern on Saturday, and I'm expecting a Green Bay win. I'd be very, very surprised, but Goff feels stronger going into this week than he did going into last week. And that emotional reaction to having your quarterback in the lineup in Goff, we'll see how it goes on the frozen tundra of Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers and all of that. There are a lot of really good quarterbacks still playing. Makes you think maybe that quarterback position is important. But I do expect Green Bay to win this. They're 7-point favorites. If they play like Green Bay can, that they may very well cover that spread. I could see them winning it by 10. But we'll see. The predictions I've seen are all close games. Everybody who's calling a score, they're making sure they're close. Because it's playoff time, and we don't want to see anybody get blown out. Let me know your thoughts and your picks in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.